Hello guys, Svetlana Shlapak, the founder of UKVisaSuccess.com is here. A couple of years ago, I've created a video explaining various immigration routes allowing migrants to enter the UK and work here. As you know, immigration law is an incredibly complex and fast-changing area of law, and since that time, since I've created that video, there were tons of changes introduced by the Home Office. So in today's video, I'm going to update you on the developments in the UK immigration law in terms of the work permit related visas. So I'm going to give you an overview of work visas, UK work visas, and also I'm going to tell you where to get more information if you need it. So here's what we are going to cover. There are 18 immigration routes which can be roughly divided into four types of work visas in the UK, and these are long-term work visas. There are 4 types there: short-term work visas, 7 types there: investor, business development, and talent visas, 4 types as well, and other work visas, which were, as you will see from today's video, established quite some time ago. So in this video, I'll give you an overview of these UK immigration routes, and if you decide to dig deeper and if you'd like to know more about any of these routes, you're more than welcome to go to ukvisasuccess.com/more, where you'll find plenty of free resources explaining various UK immigration routes. So let us begin. So let us first of all talk about the long-term work visas. There are 4 types there. The first one is general work visa, tier 2. Tier 2 general migrant route was created for UK employers wishing to employ workers who are not British citizens and who are not settled in the UK because they could not find a suitable person in the UK. And this is known as satisfying a resident labour market test. And the person will also need to prove that they have a salary at the appropriate level. So generally, the minimum salary which will be required if someone wants to apply as a tier 2 migrant, they will need to show that they will be earning at least £30,000. However, there are some exceptions to this general rule, and this exception may be, for example, where a person is a new graduate and he's applying for a new graduate jobs, or where they apply for some kind of internships. And there is no need to satisfy a resident labour market test or the minimum salary requirements if your occupation is on the shortage occupation list, which is updated by the Home Office on a regular basis. If your occupation is on this list, you have pretty much a green light to come to the UK, provided, of course, you have an employer wishing to invite you. This employer will need to be licensed by the Home Office, and you'll need to get what is known a certificate of a sponsorship. Guys, if you would like to have this shortage occupation list, or if you'd like to know more about these routes, you're very welcome to request this information at ukvisasuccess.com/tier to apply. That's ukvisasuccess.com/tier to apply. The next category is called intra-company transfer visa, and this route enables multinational employers to transfer their existing employees from outside the UK to their UK branch for training purposes, or to fulfill a specific vacancy that cannot be fulfilled by a British citizen or someone who is settled in the UK. And as you can see, there are 2 subcategories here: the subcategory for the long term and for the graduate trainee. Now, long term is for established employees of multinational companies who are being transferred to a skilled job in the UK, which could not be carried out by the new recruit from the resident workforce. And a graduate trainee is for recent graduate recruits of multinational companies who are being transferred to the UK branch of the same organizations as part of a structured graduate trainee program, which clearly defines progression towards a managerial or specialist role. The next one is called a Minister of Religion, and this is tier 2 points-based system application, and this is where you have been offered a job within a faith community, for example as a minister of religion, missionary, or a member of a religious order in the UK, and you are from outside the UK and you meet all other eligibility requirements. Very briefly, the requirements are that you have an employer in the UK, and because this is a tier 2 application, the employer will need to be licensed and they will need to provide you with a certificate of sponsorship, so you'll get points for that. And also you'll need to have savings of at least £945, which should be in your bank account for at least 90 days. And of course you'll need to show that you can speak English, and this must be at the level of B2 unless you have a bachelor degree or the equivalent or something above, for example master's degree or PhD from the course which was taught in English language. And the last long-term work visa is called a sports person visa. This is again points-based system application tier 2, and this route is for you if you are an elite sports person or a qualified coach who is recognized by the sports governing body as being at the highest level of your profession internationally, and your sports governing body is endorsing your application. In other words, they're saying that you are very good at what you do, and you can also prove that your employment will develop your sport in the UK at the highest level. And of course, you will need to meet other requirements such as English language and the financial requirements. Guys, if you'd like to have a list of these sports governing bodies, again, I can provide this absolutely free if you request it at ukvisasuccess.com/tier 2 apply. Now let us talk about the short-term work visas. These are predominantly tier 5 work visas, and there are 7 types here. Actually 2 subcategories. The first subcategory is called Youth Mobility Tier 5 work visa. A Youth Mobility route is for young people, which allows to live and work in the UK on temporary basis. The requirements are pretty straightforward. First of all, you'll need to be from a participating country, and secondly, you will need to be aged between 18 and 30. And I can email you a list of participating countries and also links to the application form and some other useful information if you request it at ukvisasuccess.com/tier 5. And the next type of the short-term visa, it is called the temporary worker tier 5, and this is subcategory because it contains 6 types of visas. So we have here charity worker visa, creative and sporting visa, government authorized exchange visa, international agreement visa, and a religious work visa and a seasonal work visa. And the rules are pretty much self-explanatory. Just to draw attention here that these are very similar to the long-term tier 2 applications, creative and sporting visa and religious work visas. The only difference between the tier 2 and tier 5 types of visa is because this is a very short term type of visa. So if anyone wants to come here on a short-term basis, they will need to apply under the tier 5 provisions. And if they want to enter the UK for longer term, then it will probably be under tier 2. The next category of UK work visas is for investors, business developers, and talented people. And again, we have 4 types here. Let us start with the startup visa. This was recently created. It was born actually on 29th of March 2019. The parent, the father or the mother of this startup visa is the tier 1 entrepreneur route, which is now closed to new applicants. So anyone who wants to apply, they will need to do so under the provisions of the Appendix W, where you can find the rules for the startup visa. This category is for people wishing to establish a business in the UK for the first time. And you will have to have an innovative a viable and a scalable business idea, which is supported by an endorsing body. So this time the UK, the Home Office does not take the responsibility of judging whether or not you have this innovative, viable and scalable business idea. They delegate their powers to endorsing bodies. And if you would like to have a list of these endorsing bodies, you can request it at ukvisasuccess.com/startup. And there I give more information about this particular UK immigration route. Guys, the main point to remember here is that, first of all, you will not be able to stay for longer than 2 years on this type of visa, and secondly, you will not be able to settle, in other words, to apply for indefinite leave to remain. However, you can naturally progress to the next type of visa, which is called the innovator visa. So these categories for more experienced business people wishing to establish a business in the UK. So this is a natural progression from the startup visa. So as with the startup category, you will need to have an innovative, viable and a scalable business idea, which is supported by an endorsing body. So the endorsing body will need to have a look at your idea, and they will need to confirm that yes, first of all, you have the skills to pursue this business when you have a definite plan, and this is scalable. In other words, that you are in the position to create jobs for other residents in the UK. With some exceptions, you'll also need to show that you have some funding to invest in your business. And this category will lead to settlement. And rather unusually, the Home Office says that there is no limit on how many times you can apply as innovator. And the last type of the Appendix W category is called a Global Talent Visa, and it was born on a beautiful day, 20/02/2020, 20th of February 2020, and this is the daughter of the Exceptional Talent Tier 1 immigration route, points-based system route, which is now closed to the new applicants. So anyone who believes that they're talented, they will need to apply using this particular UK immigration route. So this category is for talented and promising individuals in the fields of science, engineering, medicine, humanities, digital technology and arts and culture, including films and television, fashion, designs and culture, wishing to work in the UK. Applicants will be leaders in the fields, or they will need to prove that their potential leaders, they have a potential to become leaders, and this will be determined by the endorsing body. Again, as you can see, the Home Office delegates its powers to the endorsing bodies. And if you'd like to have a list, you're more than welcome to request it at ukvisasuccess.com/global talent, and absolutely free. I'll provide it to you within the next 60 seconds. This particular route leads to settlement, and again, there is no limit on how many times you can apply under this route. And the final one, we have a points-based system application here, and this is called Tier 1 Investor Visa. This is for someone who has a spare 2 million to invest, and it will need to be under your control, and you'll need to hold it in a regulated financial institution, and it also must be disposable in the UK. And surprise, surprise, there is no English language requirements and no financial requirements for this particular route. And that is probably because the Home Office trusts you that if you have £2 million to invest, you'll probably find somewhere to live here in the UK, and you will not be claiming benefits. The last category is for the UK work visas, which were established quite some time ago. So the first one is called UK Ancestry Visa. So to be able to apply under the UK Ancestry route, you'll need to be a Commonwealth citizen. You will need to be outside the UK. So in other words, you cannot switch to this particular UK immigration category. You will need to be outside, and you will need to prove that one of your grandparents was born in the UK, and you are able, and you're planning, and you're willing to work here in the UK. So in other words, you will not be claiming benefits if your application is allowed, and you will need to be over the age of 17. And if you intend to come to the UK together with your dependents, you will need to make sure that you have enough funds to support them as well. The next one is called Domestic Workers in a private household visa. You can apply for this type of visa if you would like to visit the UK together with your employer and you are a domestic worker in a private household and have worked for that employer for at least 1 year. You will need to be over the age of 18 and you will need to be willing to work in the same household as your employer or the one they use regularly. And also you'll need to prove that you will be traveling with your employer or their partner or children, and you'll need to prove your intention to work in the UK on a full-time basis and also to leave the UK at the end of 6 months period of time or together with your employer, whichever is the soonest. And of course that you will not be claiming benefits if your application is granted. And guys, by the way, domestic workers include cleaners, chauffeurs, cooks, and those providing personal care for the employer and their family, and also nannies. And the final, very old visa type is called representative of an overseas business visa. This is generally for you, and you can apply in this category if you are a representative of an overseas business and if you are the sole representative of an overseas company planning to set up a UK branch or wholly owned subsidiary for an overseas parent company, or you are an employee of an overseas newspaper, a news agency, or broadcasting organizations posted on a long-term assignment in the UK. Guys, the rules for this particular type are quite complex, and the best thing for you to do is to request more information at ukvisasuccess.com/ overseas business rep. That's overseas business rep, and I'll send you a link to a detailed video where I explain this particular visa type, and also I give you some other information which will be helpful if you intend to apply as an overseas business representative. And these were our 18 UK work visa routes, and let me very briefly summarize them for you once again. So we have 4 types: long-term work visas, short-term work visas, and then we have work visa route for investors, business developers, and talented people, and also other work visa. So if someone wants to come to the UK and work here on a long-term basis, and they have an employer willing to employ them here, and their occupation is on the shortage occupation list, or the employer managed to prove that they were unable to find someone who is in the UK with the same qualifications or experience, so then you can apply for a general work visa at tier 2. This is a points-based system applications. All tier 2 applications are points-based system. And then we have intra-company transfer, Minister of Religion, and the sports visa type. The short-term are tier 5 types of visas, and we have youth mobility for someone from the participating country aged between 18 and 30, and we have temporary worker visas, and these are charity worker visas, creative and sporting visas, government authorized exchange visas, international agreement visas, religious worker visas, and seasonal worker visas. The next 4 categories are for those who want to either invest in the UK economy, or they're businessmen, or they're very talented people. So the first one is the startup visa, only for 2 years, but after that you can switch to the innovator visa, where you can settle, and there is no limit on how many times you can apply to extend your visa in this particular immigration category. For both routes, actually for 3 routes, you will need to have an endorsing body. This one is the child of the tier 1 exceptional talent. And then we have the last one. This is a points-based system application, and this is called a tier 1 investor route for someone who wants to invest over 2 million into the UK economy. And the final one, we have UK ancestry visa route, domestic workers in the private households, and representatives of an overseas business visa. And this is it, my friends. This is all we wanted to discuss in today's video. This is just an overview. If you'd like to know more about these routes, or if you'd like to explore other UK immigration routes, you can find plenty of free resources at ukvisasuccess.com/more. And also, if you'd like to receive a very brief newsletter from me, guys, I value your time and I value my time, therefore I'm very brief. This newsletter is in the form of 5 bullet points, and there I provide you with various updates in the world of UK immigration law, and also I provide various benefits for the ukvisasuccess.com community. For example, just recently I've created a podcast where I answer various questions related to immigration law, and also I send invitations to various free online masterclasses explaining various UK immigration routes, and also I provide some other information which is available exclusive to the ukvisasuccess.com community, a part of which you can become if you apply at ukvisasuccess.com/newsletter. I hope this video helps. Please give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have an amazing week, guys.